Hello and welcome to episode 2 of my game development series for Crisis Arcana. Yep, that's right, I actually came up with a name. So this episode I'm going to be going over how I've improved the level design of my game as well as added improvements to the AI's capabilities. After a bit of research I stumbled across the tile map editor in Unity. These essentially allow you to just paint square by square the textures onto the game. It allows for very quick and efficient changes to the background, and so I started off by adding in the wooden floor. Later in the video the wooden floor itself actually becomes more detailed. I achieved this effect by going into Piskel and creating individual tiles that had the ends of wooden planks. I then dotted these around the floor to actually make it look more realistic and more varied. Whilst I'm still working on the basic mechanics for everything, I'm going to focus on designing the level just for the inside of a building. This obviously will be one of the levels and areas later on in the game, but this is where I just want to test out everything. I'm also just going to be sticking to the wave-based spawner to help test out the enemy mechanics. With regards to the playable level, I quickly painted in a set decent sized area using the wooden texture for the player to explore, and then I created a stone texture which we will use for the walls. I created a second tile map and then added colliders to this tile map. This tile map will be used purely for the walls the player cannot navigate through. I tested the game to see if the walls worked well as walls, and they did. The enemies were somehow able to move through the walls, but this was alright for the time being as I still needed them to reach the player and they were spawning outside the walls. I noted this feature down though because I want to copy it over to when I create enemies such as ghosts that can fly through walls. With the knowledge that the player could no longer escape, I decided to start adding in some extra detail to the level itself. So I upgraded the flooring as well as created some carpets, red and blue, to add into it. Each carpet is actually only made up of 9 different textures. 4 corners, 4 sides and a centre plane one. This allows me to create a numerous amount of different shapes and sizes of the same colour carpet. It can allow me to carpet down corridors as well as whole rooms as per such. I also designed some basic chalk writings as I felt it added a bit more of the magic feel to the room itself. The standard small one is only 32 by 32 and that's the one I made. To make the larger ones, I actually exported it at a higher size thanks to Piskel's ability to do so. With the larger writings, I just used a sprite editor to slice them up into the 9 different textures. With simply just exporting at a higher size, however, they have lost some quality and so I will have to go over these later. I continued to mess around and edit with my level, placing assets until I came up with something I'm actually kind of happy with. Proud of the level, I then went to try it out and quickly found out that just like the enemies I could also walk through the walls. This was not intended, so with a few changes to the colliders as well as a bit of tweaking, I made it so I could no longer walk through the walls as well as it was even less buggy than before. I moved the spawn points and made some changes to the enemies so that they would now be stopped by the walls. And it did show they were stopped by the walls in the game, however they wouldn't actually walk around them. They would just walk up to the wall and stop if I was on the other side. I was happy that the enemies couldn't go through the walls, but I actually wanted them to hunt down the player and not just stop at them. So I worked on that next. To assist in the enemy's navigation, I used something called a star pathfinding. I first created an area of which the virtual enemies could walk around and then designated set points of which it couldn't. I assigned the program to automatically look at the boundaries tile map to check for what objects enemies could not walk through and had to navigate around. With the virtual map navigation added, I assigned it to the enemies. Setting the player as a target, the program automatically assigns paths for each enemy to follow. If they come to a wall, the path auto-corrects to now send the enemy around the obstacle. To finish off, I quickly designed a couple more enemies, a spider and a bat, and I incorporated them into the wave-based system. I decided to make the bat incredibly weak and have the spider be slightly weaker than the zombie. I then set the health and damage for each of these accordingly. I hope you enjoyed the video and I aim to get the next one of these out in, we'll stick to the 3 days. I was good about this time, but it depends on how well the work goes. And I hopefully will see you then. Please leave a like and subscribe for more and I will get back to you ASAP. Hope to see you all later.